If you have low back pain, low back discomfort, I'd love to give you a few exercises to, over time, if done consistently, help alleviate your low back and help your low back get stronger. First, let's speak about some anatomy. This is my somewhat interesting drawing of the lumbar spine. So this is your spine, and I'm just going to focus on the lumbar spine here. So if we look at this area specifically, L4, L5. And if you see naturally, there's a natural curve in most people's spines. Some people have hyperlordotic spines, where the bum sticks out like this. Some people have a flat spine, where this curve actually becomes forward, which can put pressure on the discs in either side. But what I'm saying is there wants to be a natural curve here. That's the way the spine is designed. Now, the main area of pain usually for a lot of people is around the L4, L5, because this is the most narrow space of the spine. And what's really important about this point here, you have a muscle directly opposite the L4-5, which is called your TVA, essentially where your belly button is. And in where your TVA is, you have another big dome-shaped muscle. I'm just going to put that abbreviated there, called your diaphragm. So if you were to look at this on my body, lumbar spine is here. TVA, your transverse abdominis, wraps around. It's your deepest core muscle, deepest layer of the core. And then under that is your diaphragm, which is your main muscle for breathing. So why all of this matters is because your TVA, working together with your diaphragm and a couple of other accessory muscles, this is your major stabilizer of your lower back. And if these muscles aren't firing, let's say they're not working, let's say they're inactive for many different reasons, if they aren't firing, this is what you call a naked spine. In essence, that just means your spine around this segment is unprotected. It's not stabilized. So when you do movement, when you get up from a chair, when you go for a walk, when you're lying in bed for unknown reasons, your low back, what happens? It gets painful. Discomfort. You're bending forward trying to stretch it because you're trying to alleviate the discomfort in there. And I'm just saying this is a lot of the time. There's many reasons for low back pain, but if we can get this right, your low back, regardless of what the reason is for your pain, this will get you to a really, really good place. So what I'm going to share is an exercise to activate this muscle, your transverse abdominis. Remember, it's your deepest layer here. And if you were to draw a line straight back, it's directly around your L4, L5. Your belly button, L4, L5, and if we can activate here, now we're getting your major stabilizer of your low back working. So what happens? We no longer have a naked spine, we have a stabilized spine. So this is the first part to start with, getting that simplistic connection between these two back together. And I'm just going to not scan, what's the word? I'm going to cut, that's it, to an exercise, the first exercise for today, for you to go ahead and practice. The exercise is belly breathing, and I want you to try this twice a day, once in the morning and once before you sleep. And belly breathing is literally in the name. We want to breathe through the stomach. And we want to breathe through the stomach because that's where your diaphragm is. Your diaphragm is a big dome shaped. It's your main muscles for inspiration. So as we inhale, the diaphragm wants to move so the belly can rise. So that's the depths of the breath. Now to activate the TVA, what we want to think about as you exhale, I want you to imagine you're just pulling your belly button towards your spine. So let me just show you what I mean. So you're here, you inhale, and then exhale, pulling the belly button towards the spine. And then inhale again. Now, a good cue to think about to make sure you're pulling from the belly button and not your rectus abdominis, which is up here, is to think about doing up a zip. And you're doing up a zip and you're trying to pull that lower half down. Sorry, you're trying to pull that lower skin towards you so your skin doesn't get caught on the zip. So think about that as you draw your belly button in. Okay, don't get my skin caught on the zip. That means I've got to pull in, and that will activate around your belly button region, which is where the transverse abdominis is. So let me just show you once more. We're here. We pull in. just so you see my stomach and not my arms. Go again, in. Exhale, slow, pulling the belly button towards the spine. Spine. Let me just show you with you here. Big belly. Now don't worry if you feel you're breathing into the chest. So if you feel, I can't get that activation, this is why we're doing it. Because if you can't get that activation, imagine what your low back feels like, right? It's got no stability and it's got no activation itself. So if you're struggling to get that belly breath part, this is really important to get. And I promise you that will really help with the overall stability of your low back. So once again, we're here, we inhale, create a big belly, and then exhale. Notice my belly button is pulling in. That's me activating my transverse abdominis, and then we just repeat that action. Diaphragm. Doing up the zip, so this means this area of the skin you don't want to get caught. Little hold. And then we keep repeating that. So in and out, legs tucked in, because then there's no spinal loading, or it's what you call a long lever. So the legs tucked in is a short lever, so there's less pressure on your low back. So in and out, that's the first exercise to practice. So we've looked at the activation part. Now let's look at what real life is about, because a lot of real life won't be lying down like I just did. A lot of real life is this. Your limbs will be moving. You will be moving around as your core has to stabilize your spine as you do those movements. So we really want to connect. Please forgive my drawings here. I don't know what they're supposed to be his arms. Let's say these are his legs, just for the sake of this post. So when our limbs are moving, our core, TVA, diaphragm, multifidus, your obliques, everything has to create rigidity around the spine for the spine to feel safe. Now, of course, there wants to be motility, there wants to be movement, your spine isn't it won't be stiff. But what I'm saying is, as we're moving, your arms, your legs, as you're walking upstairs, as you're getting off a chair, as you are picking your grandchildren up, as you are carrying your shopping, there wants to be stability of the spine as you move. So the first part was activation, just in a static prone laying position. Now we want to look at what can we do to stabilize our spine whilst our limbs are moving, but practicing this in a safe way to essentially, once again, we're adding on to this, build the stability of your spine in real life conditions, in real life environments. So the next exercise is something called a bird dog, and I keep saying scan. Why do I keep saying scan? What's the word? I've forgotten. I'm going to cut. There we go. Cut to the next exercise. I'll show you two variations of the bird dog. The first one is if you have knee pain, if you've had knee replacements, if you have discomfort on your knees as you put your knees on the floor. This one you can do in a standing position, so there's no pressure on your knees. So the bird dog is moving your opposites. Use support, whether it's a wall, whether it is a chair, just something to hold on to. We start in the midline. Now the key thing is not to compromise your spine. So we're not doing this, we're not going too extended. Everything feels natural, right? Not overly exerted. So we start here, opposites, elbow coming in, opposite knee up, creating rigidity here. So we're just creating a bit of intra-abdominal pressure. So a good way to think about this is, imagine someone's going to throw a punch to your stomach and you have to absorb that punch just gently. You're not trying to, it's just a little punch. That means just engaging a little bit. And that's enough to create tension for your spine to stabilize. This wants to feel natural. So you're here, bit of tension here, and then we move the limbs straight whilst keeping this tension. And if you feel pain, let's say you were going out and you started to feel pain there in your low back, no problem. If you work to that point, no further. You don't go into areas of pain. Then you bring it back. And then for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, you're working in that range. And as you get stronger, you might think, oh, okay, feel a bit stronger, I can go further back. Cool, we go further back. So let me just show you a couple in real time. So we're here, creating tension, breathing as normal, so never holding your breath. Arm extends up. Your foot stays off the floor. My arm is straight, I think you can see that. Just show you one. Tension. Moving into the positions that feel right for you. Straightening the arm as best as you can. Moving the leg back, but not like this. Then you would do the other side. So remember my key points when you try this, if you do this one. Not compromising here or compromising here. Never going to areas where there's pain, and moving very slow whilst keeping that pressure, that intra-abdominal pressure, so that tension in the core. Very controlled movement. So that is option one. You can do in a standing position. And then I'll zoom to option two, where you can do this exercise on your knees, which you can do in bed. So the knee version, and whether you have good knees or bad knees, I always recommend putting your knees on a soft surface like a bed or definitely a few mats on the floor. But for this one, just like we did with the standing one, we think opposites. So if my right arm is moving, my left leg is moving. And I always recommend sliding. I might need to go a bit further here. So we slide, and then we go up. But notice two things. My arm isn't up here, and my leg isn't up here. We're moving. Very light, not too high up. And what's the main mission? Creating rigidity here. Keeping this nice and tight, not forced, natural, but now we're really creating tension in your abdominals, in your core, in your multifidus, in your transverse abdominis to stabilize the spine, like we said at the start of this little intro, as your limbs are moving. And this is really, really helpful because now this will apply to everything that we do in life. So let me just show you a few in real time. So we'd move the opposite limbs, and then we would go up. Then we come back down, keeping this tense here. Slide first. Then we raise. Keeping breathing. Tense. One more. Notice I'm not like this, head isn't up here, head isn't down here. We're trying to create a neutral position. So that is the bird dog movement with the knees on a soft surface like a bed or a few mats on the floor. And remember, there's many reasons why your low back could be in pain. So if you're concerned, if you feel like it's been going on for a long time, if you've been trying everything under the sun, it's always good to get an in-person evaluation, doctor assessment, just to see if there's something else happening which is not just musculoskeletal. So there's many reasons for pain. If you're concerned, go get it checked out. And then to practice these moves, practice the belly breathing daily, and do 10 to 12 repetitions. So one repetition would be, then we go for 2, and work that 10 to 12, 3 sets daily. And then the bird dog, because it's more of a challenging strengthening exercise, requires more demand for your nervous system, for your body, 3 to 4 times a week would be brilliant, and aim for 6 to 10. And of course you can start with 4, you can start with however many as you want, just to build yourself up. But 6 to 10 is a good number to aim towards, and once again 3 sets, and have a short rest between each set. Practice that consistently, and your low back, we're bringing that connection back, and your low back should feel in a really good place, in a much better place. Thanks for your time today, and if you did want to check out another video, YouTube does a clever thing and recommends one here, so check that one out as well. And if you want to subscribe, I'm going to pop my little face there Would love you for it. Trying to get more consistent on YouTube. So subscribe there, and I'll see you for the next video.